Hello. I came here today because I've made a bit of a break in the Olympics because there's something fishy going on with the with the Chinese officials. Something not quite right going on there. We shall see. That remains to be seen. Now, the other day I was on about Han, not Han particularly, because that is whatever. It was the A with two dots, which helps people pronounce an A or an A. It's a different sounding. One's a front vowel and the other one's a back vowel. And we could do with that in English, because English is, Finnish is very, very difficult, but it's logical. Whereas English is not logical at all. You only have to look at a few words like read, read, spelt exactly the same way, lead, led, and led. So I've read a book, and when I finish, I read a book, and when I finished, I've read that book. And then I lead the way to lead the group to find the lead. That's a nightmare. And a lot of people, even English people, find it very, very confusing, which it is, that's for sure. Another reason I came here today was because something I mentioned in my last thing was about the Prime Minister of Finland being brought up in a rainbow family by two females. Well, that actually happened to me. I was brought up by my mother and my grandmother. There was no males in my life from a young boy. Luckily, there were when I got older. I had some very good uncles, and I had some very good cousins who taught me all the things that you don't learn at school. How to make a fire without matches, how to set a gin trap, how to fish, how to poach trout, how to row a boat, how to catch a pheasant. And all these things for young working class people were essential to a better life. If you were hungry, then you went out and helped yourself, whether it was poaching or not. And the only thing I didn't like, one of my cousins showed me how to take milk from a cow, straight from the cow. And I did, and I didn't like it because it was warm milk. Milk I'm fine with if it's cold, but not when it's warm. And I feel like there are bits in it. No. And another reason I came here today was because of a stupid statement by, what's her name, Whoopi Goldberg. Her statement was that the Holocaust wasn't about race. Oh, really? Well, I'll have to pause this because I need to go to a quote from Yle newspaper. Hang on. Now, Yle News is Finland's national newspaper, owned by the government, basically. So you have to take everything with a little bit of pinch of salt from them. And Whoopi Goldberg come out with a statement that the Finns have a very good phrase for. It was an Ivio Piru hetki, a brain fart moment. And that's what it was. Stupid statement from a stupid woman. I never did like the woman. Nothing to do with colour or anything, just her attitude. And this incident with Whoopi Goldberg was mentioned in Finnish news. And in the comments, someone said, well, what has this got to do with Finland? Well, quite a lot, actually. Finland had a very, very difficult time, always have had, with Sweden ruling Finland and then Russia, or Russia and Finland, Finland first, Sweden first, and then Russia. And then we had the Winter War in 1939, just at the outbreak of the World War. But it was their own war between Finland and Russia. I think the idea that Russia didn't want any NATO countries anywhere near his country, so he invaded Finland. And of course, at that particular time, Germany was fighting Russia. So Finland took probably their best option and fought as allies to Germany against Russia. You can see their predicament. And there was a lot of people killed in that Winter War. This was more of the first battle when the Russians first invaded, and the Russians lost something like 120,000 men, with 265,000 wounded, and they lost 2,200 tanks and armoured cars. And then after that war, then came the continuation war with Germany against Russia, and then finally the Lapland War, which was when Finland joined the fight against Nazi Germany, and they declared war against their former ally. And Finland fought a war against Germany, even though it never aligned with the Allied forces. And the reason was this. In November 1942, 8 Jewish Austrians, refugees, along with 19 other deportees, were deported to Nazi Germany after the head of the Finnish police agreed to turn them over. And 7 of those Jews were murdered immediately. When the Finnish media reported the news, it caused a national scandal in protest. Jewish refugees arrived in Finland during World War II, although about 350 moved on to other countries, including about 160 who were transferred to neutral Sweden to save their lives on the direct orders of Marshal Karl Emil Mannerheim, great commander, who became the president. And the refugees, I think these refugees were eventually moved to a place called Kemijärvi in June, and eventually in Suursaari Island in the Gulf of Finland. And Himmler twice visited Finland to try to persuade the authorities to hand over the Jewish population. Thankfully, he was unsuccessful. And on the 6th of December, which is Finland's Independence Day, in 1944, the President of Finland, Marshal Mannerheim, attended the memorial service for the fallen at the Helsinki Synagogue. And Finnish Prime Minister Paavo Lipponen issued an official apology in 2000 for the extradition of those 8 Jewish refugees. Finland, by the way, was the only accessed country where synagogues remained open throughout World War II. And the culmination of the Winter War, which eventually Finland lost against enormous odds, and they had to cede 10% of their land in Karelia to the Russians, something that still rankles today. And now we stand in history with bated breath, waiting to see what's going to happen next. And I feel a little scared for Finland, and I'm sure they must feel a little nervous themselves. And I'll leave that thought with you. Thank you for listening on this dull, miserable day in England. Moi moi.